think events like this are great for women to connect, and for obviously also men who are part of the system to think about how the system can change to, really allow the best talent to come forward, and then obviously having a positive impact on the business after all, because that's also what we heard, that managing to have diversity in the team actually has a positive impact on the bottom line. We heard that from the bankers in there, right? Women have less access to capital usually, but once they get it, they have a higher success rate in how they manage the capital. So I think a lot of takeaways, and I think a lot of positive things to work on.
But it's worked. It's worked, and it's still working today because there is a deliberate attempt to create an ecosystem that will allow young people with nothing grow and become something. So by the time they finally graduate through that system and they are set up, they most do not even see them as competition to their own shop. They see them as extension. So if I'm selling something and I don't have right now, and the customer really needs that thing, I can say, go to that next shop of somebody who had undergone that mentorship program. So I think as leaders in our marketing space, we have to be deliberate about getting more women in the room, and not just getting them into the room. Create a situation where they are comfortable enough to own. One of our businesses, our second biggest business right now, is in Lusaka in Zambia. We've been there now for about 7-8 years. It's through a lady runs that operation. She came into our system at the very basic entry level. In 4-5 years, she had the opportunity to go to Zambia, and she's leading the charge there. Now she's not just the head of the Zambian operation, she's our global expansion officer. And I dare say, if the opportunity is there and we're still working together, if I step aside, which I really want to do as quickly as possible, because I'm 14 years running this business today, until the central bank came out with a policy to say no bank CEO will last more than 10 years. Bank CEO were practically dying in their chairs back in the days. Now you see lots of amazing women running banks today. 15, 20 years ago, that was almost unthinkable. So if I have to step aside today, I think one of the candidates that's qualified for that position will be Adenike Odutola, because she's done, as a proof of concept, what she's done in Zambia is such an amazing job, and we'd like to see her do more by being the group CEO of Extra.
Fantastic. We look forward to that. Maybe let me ask you, Steve, because again, you've seen so many things,
Sure.
and if you think of that mentorship program, and you have men and women running through that, what is something that women particularly profit from, or where you observe they come in maybe with a different mindset, or with something where you feel like they need that particular support, opportunity, push? What do you see?
What I see is that, in a society like ours that's so patriarchal, women over the years have had to come out and prove themselves over and over and over again. Extra nuance and that extra perspective that they bring, I think, is what's important, and we shouldn't let that be lost on all of us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I love it. I think I see that myself a lot. I think what you describe as kind of how women come into the world, and it's very global, by the way. There are, of course, there are cultural differences, but there are a lot of things that are the same. I'm German. I didn't grow up in Nigeria, but a lot of the things that I observe between women and men. And I think what you're describing is that I like to describe it as men have a more natural sense of an abundance mindset, and working and walking with audacity, in a very positive way, right? And women, as you say, need to feel like work themselves through a lot of proving before they can reach that status, which sometimes then makes them slow down, right? So I like that you're observing that and obviously working for giving those opportunities and giving that push. Great. I think we have time for questions, but let me see if there are already questions. If not, we would.
And if there's no question, I'd like to use this opportunity to give a shout out to Mrs. Bumioke. She was the CEO of the company I last worked before I set up my business. She was a woman in advertising, and she did a good job. Yeah, we fought over a lot of things, but it was not about the work, and it was not about her capability running the company.
So I think we should even talk about that women advertising thing. So what we've done at Triple A over time, and this came almost like a joke, sideline conversation at a Triple A AGM, not like Jebodi or some, I can't remember. And that, because it's that structure, it's all male dominated, and we just follow the way it goes. And we're like, okay, what about the women in the industry? Are they even talking to each other? Are you mentoring each other? And from that conversation, after the IGM, they started what we call WEAR. In fact, the WEAR thing was a joke,
Yeah.
women advertising and all that. And it's been amazing that they're doing that. Because what they're able to do is organize better. At the point in time, there was a collaboration with Rita, I think. They had this Amazon digital thing, which was focused on women, to bring more women into the digital into the space. And they're now collaborating with other associations across the ecosystem. The last breast cancer walk, I think we had, almost everybody represented. So, and that's where you start actually. And we can now start, looking at what initiatives can we, adapt as an industry to make that. Because the problem is like Steve was saying, any system where a woman will have to push through to succeed is a broken system. Seriously. Because it's easier, because the man takes it like it's a natural thing. I'm senior copywriter today, I'm copywriter tomorrow, and nothing to worry about. So that is what we need to start changing. Not just at the individual agency level, but where we can as an industry push and make that difference and actually come to some kind of commitment among ourselves to say, even at Life Awards, for instance, we have what we call the Our Life, which is like how the kind of work that represents women in the best possible way. But can we go beyond that? Can we start recognizing the agencies also that have the best, inclusive environment for women to thrive? I think those are the things that that we and the rest of us can work on. Yeah.
Just if I may build on some of the points that have been made, and I think both Larry and Steve, you've addressed some real systemic barriers to women being able to progress. But there's something we don't talk about enough. It is the fact that career progression across most industries today are linear. They're built to be linear. They're not built to account for interruptions in life and interruptions that women have to navigate, the complexities of taking time off to have children or to take on disproportionate share of family responsibilities. And most of the time when they take these gaps, they lose out quite a bit on the ability to progress, where their male counterparts keep going. When they come back into the system, there isn't a lot being done to get them back up to speed. And so over time, that gap compounds. And because it compounds, we also start to lose more high potential women. And you mentioned, Larry, that they drop off at middle management, they drop off when they get, just before they get. It's because over time, the gap has continued to widen. They've had to take time away to be able to do the things that only them can do as we understand the society. And nobody's creating systems to ensure that, okay, when they do come back, it's not had a negative impact. If we start to build careers with the idea that they're non-linear, and that you can start from one point and deviate to another point and still be able to grow, then it makes it easier for women to feel comfortable, stepping into those spaces, taking the risks, taking the opportunities, taking the chances. It's not something we talk about a lot. We just assume that, women have to do this, they do it, and when they come back, all is normal. But it's a big driver of the disparity that we see in the industry today.
I totally agree with you. And see, when we talk about and this conversation are inexhaustive, to be honest. And when we talk about these women rights issues and whatever, they are not just women rights issues; they are actually human rights issues, to be honest. And unless you're able to look at it from that holistic point of view, we missed the plot. And these days, in the extreme, we discovered one thing: it's okay for a woman to go have a child, and you give her maternity leave. You're still leaving her to go sort it out herself. Now we give paternity leave. Go to the husband. Go and sit down with your wife and take care of the child. So unless you begin to look at it from all of those, make it a much more rounded conversation, we'll miss the plot. Yes, Mrs. Okay.
All right, I have a question. Thank you very much. Since we're having a very interesting, and thank you for acknowledging. One thing I wanted to ask, and that's why we come this far, is that what is the role of upbringing in this stereotype? Because one thing I would say is that for me, the advantage was I worked with great men. So they were the ones that brought out the best in me. We didn't get to one thing. But the reason was that I wasn't afraid to talk to the men because I had a father that taught me that if you want to do things, do it, but do it differently. If I say I want to ride a horse, he said, go and wear your trousers. He will never say don't. But I soon found out that so challenging was never a problem for me. It wasn't like gender, male or female. So one thing I wonder, is it the upbringing that makes us get afraid to achieve our goals? Because I've learned that women can do things, but you have to do it differently. So I don't know what your experience has been and how you see it. So because I think it's the men that make the women great. Go and look at the history. And then it's the women that sometimes will tell someone, no, you can't do it this way, you have to do it that way. So I sometimes want, that's why I believe so much in this gender balance. Because men balance their daughters and women balance their husbands. I always tell my children, practice with me, the women will like it, don't worry. Even though they'll grumble. So, I don't know what your view is, from
Well,
a
I mean, the thing is,
Thank
thank you, Ms. Soke. The thing is, in America, before Obama, it would be very difficult to convince a black boy or a black girl growing up in America that it's possible for a black man to become president. They saw Jesse Jackson, God bless his soul, try and fail. So they've never seen it before. And as human beings, we build every interaction with the world or the universe based on experience, something we've seen, perceived, and done. But today, I'm actually proud of there's still so much to be done, but I'm proud of the effort that women have put in to fight and see that, look, we'll not just only be heard and seen, we'll actually be seen physically doing the grit and the work that requires for us to be able to earn the respect that we truly deserve. Like I said, 15, 20 years ago, if you had said to anybody, a young girl growing up, to say, it's possible one day you can become the group CEO of a major bank in Nigeria, I'm sure they'll laugh you to scorn. But today, for any young woman growing up, I see the top 5, 6, 7 banks, they are all female CEOs. So it's now commonplace. Women are now becoming big in that space where at the top of this, of course, there's still gap that we need to fill, but it's easier now for women to see themselves because they see people doing it. There are people they can copy. There are people they can walk in their shoes. We just need to be deliberate to say, look, where the gap still exists, let's be deliberate about closing them. But like you said, it is that brave, that brave mindset to say, look, we can achieve this because we've seen eminent women doing it. And I was sitting here, she's leading the marketing team of one of the biggest alcoholic brands in Nigeria. Katrina is here as well. Pulse is doing major stuff in America. So it's not, right now, it's easy. And that's why you see, if you're a man and you're not like open-minded, you feel like you're surrounded. Because everywhere you go, you see feminists who are not just whispering, they're actually speaking loudly to say, look, these are acceptable things, these are things that we're not going to take anymore. And so I think that's where it starts, and it starts to compound from there.
Yeah, just on the back of that, I think the other thing is that, things are advancing. In my experience, women are more stable on your team than even men. Seriously speaking, it's more likely that a woman will stay from entry level and keep pushing and improving herself, and all that. And so we lose out if we don't really give, open the space for them. 2 times in my career, when I started Luanza, the first person I employed, after agreeing to the terms and all that, she now came back a day or 2 later and said, you know what, I needed to let you know that I'm pregnant. Because she saw that I would say, hell no, that's not going to fly. It's not a disease. It doesn't stop you working. The next time when we started Spice, and one of the writers I employed also was, in fact, when she was going to leave, again, sadly she had to take a pause, like we were talking about. And we're trying to actually get her to say, can you still work? We just said, I just need to take a break from that. That's fine. But anytime you're ready, always come back. But she said, you know what I will remember is that you employed me when I was pregnant. So these are things we don't talk about. When women are pregnant, they are afraid to even tell their employers because you don't know what you're going to say. So back to what you're saying, a lot has to do with your mindset as an individual, as a leader, but we can't depend on that too long. I think we need to come to a point in our industry, HIG in particular, when we agree to some needs, to say these are the things we need to do. Otherwise, we leave it to chance and we don't get anywhere. I think that's where the problem is.
Women are often waiting for permission.
Yes.
Which is rather unfortunate because it's there, take it. But until we show them that it's actually okay, they're not going to go for it. And I I mean, I also had a dad because I'm the first child of my parents. And my father himself used to complain how much I was like a man because I'm the first. And so for me, it was important to lead by example. The generator is off, I need to go put it on. There's no diesel, I need to climb on the tank to pour it in. And so for me, growing up I was taught to go for the things that I want. Not everybody has that same mindset. There are families where the mom is like, you just the man will provide you. And yes, so background has quite a lot, a big role to play. But when we start to visibly show the possibilities, and women can see themselves, I remember this series by Kemi Adetiba, King Women. That was a powerful creative. And I thought, I mean, and when it's 10 years old now, but when I think of it, I still have goosebumps because it was storytelling at its finest. It was showing accomplished women in Nigeria across industries, not just as distant icons, but as real people who have had to overcome complexity and setback and take risks and still get to the top of their very careers. And it's not because they were superwoman or anything. They had their moments of loss, they had their moments of struggle. But with that series, Kemi was able to show young women that, look, even in spite of challenges, you can still be. And so you owe it to yourself to try. And that's where creativity comes in. Stories that we tell, they either disrupt the narrative or they continue to uphold it. And so when you see campaigns like a girl campaign by Always, that's changed like a girl from an insult to a symbol of strength. Or even Ariel's Share the Load, where it challenged the gender roles in homes. Or even Dove's campaign for Real Beauty, where it was about making beauty a source of confidence and not anxiety. And even more recently, Amstel Malta's latest campaign with Asisat Oshoala. She's a female footballer. You rarely ever see that happening in the sports space. But when girls start to see themselves represented in this space, it gives them more confidence, makes it less likely that they will wait to ask for permission. And I think that's the role that we have to play, at least those of us in the spaces that have influence on that.
All right, so we just a few questions from, okay?
So a round of applause for that. And like I keep saying, it's about, see it, be it, and just not to steal the thunder from the Can Lions people. So when people see these things, you inspire younger women to become it. Thank you. Well done.
Okay, thank you so much. Personally, I've learned a whole lot. I think one of the very interesting things that was being said was the part where you actually need to understand that there is no disparity between the male or the female. It is just everybody, and then we need to include everybody and take everybody as humanity. That's really interesting, and I'm sure very well that our audience out here, I know we have a few questions to ask, but we just have to run really fast into the next panel of discussions. I'm sure we'll have other avenues these questions can be sent. Please, do we understand? Is that fine?
Yeah, sure.
Is that fine? Mommy, I see your hand, okay? I know, I see somebody's hand over there too. Please, yes, I acknowledge that there were questions to be asked. Please put your hands together for this beautiful panel. Can we take a picture, right? All right, let's take a picture before we leave. Okay, it's been a great one. Katrina, thank you so much for handling that panel really well. All right, so please, okay, let's take a picture real quick. Paparazzis, photographers, are we ready? Okay. Through our lenses. All right. Okay. Are we good? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please put your hands together one more time while they leave the stage. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Wow. Wow. I think it's also very important that we get informed of all of these beautiful things going on. The media has to play a big role in making sure that the inclusivity is very, very well shared among all platforms. Thank you so much, beautiful people. And big shout out to every single person who has been including the ladies. You might, in every single thing. It's really nice to have all the ladies in every single aspect of our spheres of influence. Briefly, into what the next panel of discussion would be about, okay? So, this discussion is a vibrant conversation spotlighting women shaping today's creative landscape. This panel examines how visual storytelling, photography, and technology amplify female creativity across advertising, film, fashion, and culture. Okay, so this discussion is going to last for 30 minutes, and we'll take questions for 5 minutes, and when we get back, we'll take a photo break as usual. I'd like to go deeply into the moderator for this session, Marketing Edge Media Platform. Please, the representative of Marketing Edge here. Oh, great, great, oh, great. Okay, Marketing Edge. So you'll be the moderator for this great event. Please just get it mic'd up, but please put your hands together for Marketing Edge. Marketing Edge is Nigeria's leading platform for exclusive news and authoritative insight in integrated marketing communications, evolving from a pioneering print publication to a dominant online presence. It delivers real-time industry coverage and engages top-tier professionals across marketing, advertising, branding, and corporate leadership, shaping conversations within Nigeria's dynamic IMC landscape. Please put your hands together for the wonderful gentleman. Thank you. So you're going to be the moderator for this event. And like I said earlier, the media plays a very vital role in all of this. It's very important that these informations are very well delivered and, originally being shared with our very wonderful women. Please, can you get mic'd up, please, really fast? Can the moderator get mic'd up, please? Okay. So we're doing our best to make sure that we're right on time. Okay, so one of the panelists, Adenike Ogulensi, please put your hands together for the founder and CRO, Ruffin Tumble. Thank you so much, Mama. I'm on for adoption, that's why. Okay, thank you so much. So, Ruffin Tumble. Adenike Ogulensi is a visionary entrepreneur and the founder of Ruffin Tumble, Nigeria's leading indigenous children clothing brand. From selling pajamas out of a car to building a Pan-African retail empire. Please put your hands together for her. She is a powerhouse in manufacturing, a seasoned corporate board director, and a dedicated mentor empowering Africa's next generation of fashion leaders. It's good to have you on the panel. Welcome. All right, so we also have Mr. Chesley Madostosi. Is he here with us? Is she here with us, rather? Okay. Do we have Bumi? Okay. Great, great. I can't wait for you to come on. You've been so influential. You've done great stuff. Do we still need an introduction? Of course, we're going to have an introduction. Okay, so Bumi Okay, she's the CEO, Lady Bird Advertising. Bumi Okay is an award-winning Nigerian advertising and marketing leader with over 30 years of industry impact. CEO of Ladybird Limited, she has held top roles across major agencies, chaired key industry bodies, and championed women's advancement. A mentor and strategist, she remains committed to gender parity and professional excellence. Please put your hands together for Bumi Okay. Mr. Femi Odubemi, are you here with us? Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so put your hands together for Mr. Femi Odubemi. Mr. Femi Odubemi is a filmmaker, producer, and founder of 024 Media. Femi Odubemi is a master storyteller and one of Africa's most influential filmmakers. As founder of 024 Media, he has shaped modern African cinema through award-winning films, documentaries, and TV productions. A cultural curator and industry builder, he champions authentic African narratives and mentors the next generations of films. Authentic African narratives. Put your hands together for Mr. Femi Odubemi. All right. So at this junction, I'd like to hand over to the moderator for this beautiful, topic. The topic is, let me see, the topic of discussion. Okay. All right. So the topic of discussion is centered around examines visual storytelling. Okay. All right, so let me see. I think I missed. All right, so that's fine. Okay, do we have Chesley Modex Ducey? Online. Online. Okay. I just got briefed that there's one more person. Before we have everyone here already seated. Okay, so she's gonna be online, right? Okay, she's here. Okay, okay. Oh yes. Okay, it's good to see you, madam. All right, so Chesley Modex Ducey, the CEO AURO, American Urban Radio Network. She is the CEO of Wonder Media Company, overseeing AURN and Super Radio, reaching 47 million listeners weekly. Put your hands together for this wonderful personality. A former investment banker, SVP, she has led major media portfolios, earned top industry honors, and champions community empowerment. An Oberlin College trustee, she supports education, arts, and emerging creative talents. It's good to have you around, madam. And have a great discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, good afternoon, or good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ralph Tathegat. I'm the managing editor of Magazine Paris. So, starting from the very first, we're treating the topic, the power of visual storytelling. Let me start by recapping a recent report about 50 most powerful brands in the world. And I think Apple came first, then Microsoft and Google. But that is not even the issue. The real point for me there is the most outstanding brand in the world, which is not actually one of the most 50 most powerful brands, and that is YouTube. It was actually reported that Apple, Microsoft, Google, and all other 50 most powerful brands used YouTube to tell their stories in 2025. So that makes YouTube the most powerful and outstanding brand in the world, which now brings me to the topic, the power of visual storytelling. And I think my first question should go to Mrs. Bumioke. How is visual storytelling evolving in a world driven by digital content and mobile technology?
Good morning. I hope you can hear me. Hello, can you hear me? My mic? Help. All right. Okay, it's good. Anyway, that's the first thing. Also, always don't be afraid to ask for help. I noticed that it was not working. But anyway, we'll start again. Good morning. The question is the impact of technology and modern gadgets in this digital age. Well, one thing I did when I looked at the topic, I realized that coming from over 30 years experience, the main gadget right now is the phone, the mobile phone. Please, does everybody have a mobile phone here? In fact, everybody's reading it. So the problem now is that communication has gotten to the point where everything is done on a mobile device or a handheld device. So storytelling to me is about the selfie. The story of the selfies now. That's how commercial are being done. In the days of old, you had to get a storyboard, you had to have a team. Now, people just sit down, take a picture of themselves, take a picture of the event. In fact, what they would have said about what has gone on here, there are about 20, there will probably be 30 or 40 different versions of the same story. But the point is, the impact of technology is to me about the fact that in this digital age, you're your own editor, you're your script writer. You even can put music, you can even choose. Who those of us that don't, before you had to go and produce your music, now they will even give you an option to choose. You will play your commercial, you will play your content, you will even say what you have to say. And in fact, the intrusion is even the fact that people even first market themselves before they even market the product. So that is why you find that the rise of influencers, the rise of what have you. So I think the question that you asked tells us about the fact that the world has changed. So all of us have found that you have to take a picture, you have to deal with the communication online to be able to make a story. And the editing, nobody asks you for permission whether it's good. In fact, the quality of phones is so good now that it's almost better than going to some studios. So I think I'll rest my case here for now, that the power of visual to storytelling now is in the hands of the consumer and in the hands of whoever has a digital phone that can be used on any of the social media and digital platforms. I hope that is telling us something. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, very correct. The power of mobile, and I think every brand custodian knows that mobile plays a major role, whether you're trying to capture the youth, whether you're trying, across all demographics, mobile plays a very big role. So my next question will now be, what role are women playing in shaping this digital and visual storytelling?
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here. I think we must recognize the incredible amount of power that rests in the hands of human beings to shape whole countries, to shape whole cultures, to shape identity with storytelling. And what digital storytelling does is it makes everything a million times faster. Now, women are custodians of values of a society. Women are custodians of whatever it is that is in a society that is important to that society, to that community. So we are in a unique place to change the narrative that it is between men and women where we tend to face some kind of a resistance, but rather redirect the conversation to say, this is, and I think somebody on the panel said it, it's an ecosystem of men and women. And so it's a human ecosystem. And storytelling has been, for hundreds of trillions of years, telling the story of humanity. We cannot tell a complete human story from the perspective of one part of humanity. We must be able to embrace the whole of humanity and tell the story from the two perspectives, from the male perspective and from the female perspective. And those two perspectives are not always going to be the same because we're wired completely differently. And the way we're going to tell those stories is going to be completely different from the way men are going to tell those stories. So what would I like to say to women? I would like to say that we don't want to face any more resistance. I don't know a bird that can fly with only one wing. A bird needs both its wings to fly. Humanity needs the talent of both men and women, and the creative talent of women to come to the table to solve the multitude of problems and challenges that humanity faces. Because it is not just man that faces those problems, it is also women that face those problems. So how do we change this narrative and speak more from the perspective of three things? And I call them 3 C's, and this is what I tell women anywhere that I'm able to. Women should show up with character, with competence. And competence is both your technical skills as well as your social skills. And this is where those social skills, sometimes we shy away from taking on hard conversations where men don't. I grew up with boys. They climbed a tree, I followed them. Because you're not going to leave me behind and say that because I'm a girl, I couldn't climb the tree. And I'm going to stand at the bottom of the tree crying. No. As high as you dare to go, I'm going to follow you. You ride a bicycle out of the house and daddy catches all of us. It's all of us he catches, me included. I'm going to do exactly what you guys are doing. And so I grew up without thinking of myself necessarily as a girl, but thinking of myself as somebody who was just capable and who can just do things, and who wants to do things. And the third thing is capacity. We have to show up, showing that we can. And what's more, we will. And lastly, watch me and see what I will do. And give me that opportunity to do those things. So I think we women are in a very unique position to restructure the entire narrative around women versus men. It's not women versus men. It should never be. It should never have been. I don't know any man whose daughter is a pilot, who they ask her to fly the president of the once great nation, America, in the world, and he's going to tell her that she shouldn't. She should go into the kitchen and cook. No man is going to do that. He's going to say, you earned the position, it is your right. He will fight the man that is telling her to go into the kitchen to go and cook. And he will say, this is what I trained and raised my daughter to do. Let her be the truest and highest expression of who she is, as she was divinely created to be. So we have a lot of power to change the narrative. Thank you.
Brilliant. Brilliant perspective. I think that's more of balance, the yin-yang, and the emotion and the logical aspect of storytelling.
Incidentally, I don't believe in balance.
Oh, you don't believe in balance?
I think
Okay.
it's very difficult to find balance. It's almost impossible. For me, it's
Okay.
about integrating all the different moving parts of my life.
Wow, wow.
You know, and I think this is what we need to tell more women.
Okay.
You know, I can't be everything all of the time, but I can choose to focus on certain things. I can choose to prioritize certain things so that at that point in time, in that space and time, I can be the best version of myself. Without weighing whether I'm a mother, I'm a this. I'm always going to be a mother. I've chosen to be a mother. I've chosen to be a wife.
You can
So-
play different roles?
Yes.
Okay.
How does the rest of my life work around that so that I can shine? Because I was made to shine.
Fantastic.
So that I think women were made to shine.
That's good.
So that's
Okay. Sir.
Why are you sniggering?
Because what I want to say is I support the last speaker.
Well said.
That's great. That's great. That's great. So, how do you approach authenticity when
We need more men like
creating
you.
images that speak to modern audiences?
Well, I mean, I work in the storytelling industry, Nollywood and broadcast. And I think we're far ahead of many industries in terms of inclusion. Almost anything that's progressive in our industry today is led by women. You can think of the Moab Widows, Bolangas Peters, they talk about them, Adetiba. There's just so many of them that I think are championing a new day for our industry. So I'm not sure that inclusion is our challenge. Origination is our challenge. It's not just about being able to tell stories or to act, as a lead. It's about what stories are we choosing. And I think that's really where the bigger challenge is that even though we now have women directors, women producers, women who built institutions of storytelling, the majority of our stories still regurgitate imagery and representation that are perhaps not as advanced as reality. And by that I mean we still represent, love stories. A woman doesn't have a husband, and so her life has collapsed. We still have issues with, waiting for permission to do things. Women that have conflicts with whether they can work or not work. Those stories are still many, and we need to turn that around, because in the end, if there's anything that's come out of what we're talking about here, is really that values are gender neutral, excellence is gender neutral, capacity is gender neutral, and we've all proven that with our daughters, with our mothers. If you've lived in the kind of home where I grew up, where I was the only boy with 4 women, my dad and I practically knew who led the team. But there was no complaint because she led the team well. So for me, it's in what kind of stories we're creating. The better thing for us is one look back. If you look at the literature, the history of almost all the cultures in Nigeria, there are huge champions, heroes that were female. Bolanle did Fumilayo, you saw that. There's been quite a few of that. Amina is one, Pelewura in Lagos is another. For me, one of the better things that's happened structurally for us in Nollywood is that we now have, an institution called Women in Film, which is led by Joke Silva, and they've had a couple of conferences, which I thought was very progressive in terms of what are the kind of characters that we're designing for women, i.e., what kind of heroes are we creating and in what spaces are we creating them? Kadaria Ahmed just did a documentary called, I think she calls it Double Minority, which exposes the fact that in our political environment, the women in the National Assembly is just about 1%. Out of close to 400 or 600 people, you have like 4 or 5. And those 4 or 5 are constantly under siege, as you've seen with Natasha and all of that. So I do feel that we have in our industry a bigger responsibility to create the kind of characters that are female, that are leading in important spaces. Because somebody mentioned in the last panel about Barack Obama, and I happened to really connect to that because while I was going to college, Jesse Jackson was running for president, and I was one of those carrying banners shouting, "Go, Jesse, go," and he didn't win. In fact, he didn't get a lot of votes. But between Jesse Jackson and Barack Obama, there were 3 television series that basically showed you a black man in the Oval Office sitting behind that desk, making good decisions, having a solid family, and basically upending every stereotype of the black man. And what those things do when we put them in storytelling and represent properly is that they eliminate fear. A lot of the things that create, diversity problems come from fear. If I give a woman this role, will she be there when she's pregnant? Would her husband allow her to do this? Those fears need to be erased by good storytelling, by representation that are not just supportive, but advancing. And I call it imagination engineering because in the end, nation building is about what we are intentional to create and to show. And I think today, she talks about the phone. I just did a smartphone filmmaking workshop for IREP Documentary Festival. And I wasn't surprised at all to realize that out of 120 that attended, 70 were female. That's because they feel that tool is becoming incredibly important in self-representation. So I don't think we should continue to speak about access, because I think technology is generally erasing that. What we need to be talking about is how we are defining culture and the place of everyone within culture. And the idea that, culture itself is evolving, and that we're creating and recreating it by the stories we tell, the stories we choose, and obviously the images that we're authoring.
Excellent. The previous session, I think some people actually. Am I coming out fine? Okay. Some people talked about how family upbringing could help in the whole process. Then I think specifically Steve raised a very vital point of policy. I think this question should go to Ms. Maddox-Dorsey. How can we achieve all of this without creating unhealthy competition between men and women. I hope she's with us.
She's talking about that. But there's no voice.
Okay.
Sound.
Should I proceed?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good noon there. Greetings from New York. I'm so excited to be with you there in Lagos. I wish I was there. I think healthy competition between men and women in this space is the same as between anybody. I see more cooperation here in the United States between men and women in this space, because technology has lowered barriers to entry and has lowered having to be in a specific place at a specific time. For women, that's created a lot more opportunity. And all of you good men know that in order to do this entertaining and educational memory making, you need good women in that process. And the best example we have most recently in the United States, of course, was the film that Ryan Coogler did, where he had women photographers who won an Oscar, his wife, who is also producer and writer, and he said it best. You know, we need women in all aspects of this. So I think we're beyond that. We're smart, innovative, creative filmmakers and TV writers. We all know we need women. I think that's indisputable.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, we're moving to the next the panel question, the second session of it. I would like to specifically direct this question to you because of your specialty. Yeah, Mr. Odugemi, how has technology, especially mobile innovation, expanded what's possible for photography and filmmakers?
Well, I think it's the immediacy of it. The fact that you can see the story, witness the story, distribute the story immediately, and get a conversation going about the story. I think it's powerful simply from its engagement perspective. There's a lot that's going on that's changing how people behave simply because the mobile phone puts us in the center of a story. You don't need incredible education, you just need a point of view. And I think people find that to be incredibly powerful. And I think it's powerful when you talk about, important issues like representation, that people are able to get their voice out there. The social media platform, I think, has become the world's most powerful, what you would call the community gathering space. And it's not just that, you have that capacity. There are no barriers. And I think that's really what makes it so important, that people are not only able to establish their voice, they're able to gather followership, they're able to monetize the followership, and be able to actually drive an agenda. And I think that's happening a lot in Nigeria. That's, for me, one of the biggest freedoms, if you put it like that, that technology has given us. But I think much more than that is also the fact that AI is also, inviting us to also not just witness, but actually, innovate. It's become available to almost all of us. So the conversation, that's where I started with, I think the conversation about access in many ways is not as important as the conversation that needs to be had about empowering ourselves to drive imagination, to actually begin to show the things that we advocate for and what it looks like. So for me, the evolution of technology, driven mostly by smartphones, are going to continuously, empower us to drive this agenda with a little more speed, a little more specificity, and perhaps, a little more conviction all around.
That's great. The democratization that digital tools are actually driving is not in doubt, but there is a little worry about professionalism. How can we ensure that with all of this democratization, that we will still maintain professional balance? I'm sorry for mentioning the word balance. I don't
Well, thank you. I guess you want me to answer that. All right, thank you, because you looked my way. Well, two things I will say. Let's not forget that the reason why it's called social media is exactly what it means in English. It's a social platform to relax, and that's why there's a lot of fake news. In fact, I love social media because it's so fake. It is so fake and so entertaining that if you're not careful, there's augmented reality. You could even be seeing yourself in Japan, where you are in your toilet, because you have put a background. So I'm just telling you how powerful this means. But you see, to sell a concept or to come up with an idea that sells a campaign or a product or a country, it's not just what you post. That requires strategy, a long time again. And that is why you have different means and platforms of dissemination of information. I mean, communication for change is not going to happen just because somebody's posted something sensational on social media. It might cause fright, like you said, it might cause you to be scared, but it will not give you the full picture. So you find that there's always going to be room for professionalism. If somebody is sick and they go and Google or research, they'll just tell you how to patch up. You cannot still say because of that you will not go to the doctor and get yourself repaired properly. Now, back to the issue of perspectives. What I believe social media does is that it's really like Mr. Odubemi said, it allows for beautiful perspectives. I am one for balance, and what I mean by balance is the fact that I honestly had no apologies of the fact that women see things differently from men. That does not mean, and I'll say where I do not see balance is in emergencies. What I've come to realize that if there's an emergency now, there is no gender in blood transfusion. Whoever needs to be put alive, we notice that when it comes to blood transfusion, they don't say is it male blood or female blood. There's no such thing. Now, when it comes to excellence, like you said, leadership, it is gender neutral. But there are some things that are not gender neutral. Going to the labor room is not gender neutral. It's only women that go to, please, unless there's technology, please, that I'm missing. I'm yet to see a man that has gone to the labor room. So my point is that there are still some specific things that are peculiar to your gender. And because of those peculiarities, you're always going to have sometimes different, and I'm saying for both men. Women too cannot exactly do the other, they can't get it up now. So the point is, the truth of the matter is that men and women are always going to have a slightly different perspective to life. And to me, that is the balance I see in reality. And that is why you complement each other in terms of creativity, in terms of capabilities. But there are some roles that are gender neutral. Leadership is gender neutral. Looking after things, having a perspective is gender neutral. So I just feel that, as you asked, going forward, technology does not erode facts and figures. It does not erode the fact that not everything on social media is credible. You cannot sell a ticket, say, oh, I can just come and say, I have this Bumi airline. Just because I sold it, people will find out I don't have an airline called Bumi Tickets. So my point is, it's still your responsibility to find out what is credible online, what you want to do about any platform you see on social media. Enjoy the entertainment, because I think it's such great entertainment. Even the way they make our president dance sometimes online, you could almost believe that the man was really dancing. But that shows you just how interesting and how fake it is. So I think it's education to know how each medium, and it's not going to change, whether it was radio, TV, each medium for communication has its advantage and disadvantage. Social media, like Mr. Edugumi said, has speed, has control, but it has a very high percentage of what you call fake news. So I would just say that is where the professionalism will always come in. You cannot create a concept without understanding the strategy behind a long-term brand or behind a long-term country project and so on and so forth. So trust me, AI cannot take that original thinking, because it's original thinkers that made AI. Let's not forget. I think I'll rest my case. Thank you.
What unique perspective do you think women will bring to photography?
So I wanted to chime in a little bit on one of your other questions. Women's unique perspective for photography, for filmmaking, for storytelling is, in my estimation, a more honest one. In part because we haven't had all of the opportunities in the past. And so we bring more raw honesty to that whole process. And and that is really important, as one of the other speakers said. You go on social media and 98%, I would even say 99% is fake. How do people all over the world, our people all over the world, separate the news from the noise? How do they separate an honest portrayal versus a hilarious portrayal? And you can have both. You can be hilarious and honest. But women in particular, because we are the caretakers of our legacy, we have to have that level of honesty. I mentioned earlier that there's no barriers to entry, but distribution is still a challenge, because if everyone can join in, everyone, honest or not, can participate, and we have to, as women, I think, have the responsibility to set forth and lay out the honest version of the storytelling and the photography, the images, even using AI, because AI can be completely inaccurate. Remember who's writing the code for AI. There are very few women in that room, very few. So we have to use our instinctive powers to make sure we represent all of this storytelling and representation in an honest fashion. And frankly, I trust us to do that. It's our legacy, it's our heritage. I think we as women, we as African women, have that ability and have that responsibility.
All right, thank you so much. Before we take this, before we give our final shots, I would like us to look at it, Mr. Dugemi, from industry level. Because I was particularly impressed with what Steve said about policy, because in as much as we can do a lot, we've been doing a lot, we can do a lot from the agency part, but industry-wide, how do you think we can actually create, bring in women in this creative industry and have impressive growth?
Well, I already said when I started that perhaps Nollywood and the broadcast industry in Nigeria is ahead of many other industries in terms of access. And I already mentioned the fact that Women in Film is an organization that advocates of elites, which is meant to actually structurally look at not just inclusion of women, but also the protection of women in the marketplace. Because one of the challenges we also have is with the numbers of women we have, there's also a number of incidences that need regulation, that needs, clarity. So for me, I think ethically, we have a challenge in that we need to figure out how to protect the women who are working. But access and storytelling is incredibly global. All of us here are storytellers. The question I ask is the advocacy. How personal is it for you? Because we talk about social media. Everyone is telling stories on social media. You also have to ask yourself, how much of the stereotypes are you regurgitating? How much of stories are you forwarding that actually are demeaning to women? How much are the empowering stories that you've taken on yourself to create conversations around? Because in the end, as I said, all fear is lack of education. And the damage is if you let those stories sit and simmer, it becomes culture. And that for me is where storytelling is powerful in changing things, because the first thing it does is, reframe culture. And once we do that, the images of women as, emotionality and all of those areas that makes them different can also be turned into their power, can be turned into our advantages because of the nuance they bring to characterization, to storytelling, to, everything else in the storytelling world.
Great. Can we have your passing shot on the whole of this? What would you actually say should be done to get things better?
Thank you. I think it begins with us women and the stories that we permit to be written, to be said about us. I think we, as women, have to understand the power that we carry in the narrative, in the storytelling, in the way we're raising our children, the way we're raising boys, the way we're raising girls, the way we're impacting the communities in which we live in, because it all begins from there. The child is going to hear from the mother before it hears from the father. So what are we as women, what is the narrative that we are building to socialize children from when small, so that when they grow up, it's not strange to see a woman doing things that felt like it was once strange. And I think the more important thing is also we take the power to tell our own stories, because we have walked the plains, we have cried, laughed, we have, through blood, sweat and tears, through pain, through joy. Who else should be telling our stories if not us? Who else should have the audacity or the courage to rise and change the narrative if not us women? That's the power we carry as women, and we should use it unapologetically.
Personally, I agree completely with that, because I remember more of my mother's storytelling than that of my dad.
Yeah.
What advice would you give the next generation of women as your parting shot as well?
Yes. Well,
Who are behind the camera, who are behind the lens, telling stories?
well, I would say, you see, this is where facts come in. I think we all need each other's support, whether it's better, because I remember my father's stories more than my mother's. So it's really about perspective. But it's about, the important thing is, I also had women that were role models in front of me. I had women that were achievers. So like they said, visualization is important to see that you can do it if you choose to do it. But I think the critical thing is we need both men and women to call out what is right and what is not right. Because you can't do it alone. If you're a lone voice in a board meeting, for example, sometimes the other men may not even understand your perspective. Everybody's seeing purple, you are seeing pink, because even your perspective to colors, I found that women and men see differently. because we brought up to see certain details. So don't misunderstand me. What I would think is that we women, you see, policy is good, but it's implementation of policy that matters. The banks got away with it because when Sanusi was the central bank governor, he made it a policy. And I remember Wimbis was one of the foremost companies that got them to make the policy that you must have a certain number of women on their boats. But they also had the women get ready to be on the boats. Because another challenge is that if there's a position and the women are not also ready because they run away, I'm very much supportive of women who are capable to do work. But I find that women too, sometimes we have our own problem because we give excuse why we can't attend. I mean, if this had been a male attendance event, for example, the whole place would have been full. It's part of the fact that yes, body might have to go to there are always going to be stories. And that's part of our storytelling. Women, we tell a lot of stories. But we need to tell the stories that will help us move the narrative. So I think we should remember that we are more than capable if we choose to put our minds to things. There's other thing. Don't be afraid to call other women. I've learned that thing to that. Call other women to join in what you want to do and achieve your goal. And then don't be afraid to also challenge. I'll give an example. They've been talking about APCON, for example. They want a new chairman. How about anybody say, let's bring a female chairperson, for example, for a change? You want to see how people say, why don't you have a female chairman in this? It's not even in the conversation. It's more about, you see, what I'm trying to bring out is that, yeah, you have maybe a certain thing. I'm just trying to bring out is that it is for women to remind people that we are more than capable. Maybe half of the problems they have, if they put women, like they did in Rwanda, if they have maybe 60% of women on their boards, we'll have less arguments because we have to make things work. So I'm just saying, women should raise the voice, call out things, also make it possible that we're not saying the men will not work, just like what we're doing in Nasa Assembly, where they're having to look for inclusive seats now. They're saying create more seats because the men will not create seats for you. We don't mind. Just give women the seat because they bring a totally different perspective. You will not see pink cars on the road and orange cars because there are no women designing cars. And it's not because, so it's just not going to happen. You have to do it special order. So my point is not because they say black cars sell more, because men like black. So let's just get the fact that women need to get on board, make their voices known. Don't be afraid to say you don't mind frills. I like frills, I like bowtails. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't have to put ponytails and bows on men either, because they are not men. So I think we should just allow people to be themselves. Women, go for the best you can, and don't be afraid that we need each other to achieve these goals, both male and female. That's my view. Thank you.
Such a beautiful word. I think one thing I've also heard so far is women have to shine. Do we all agree that women were meant to shine? Great. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, beautiful people. Thank you so much, Marketing Age, for taking care of this panel so well. Please put your hands together for the panelists. Even as we have a picture, can we have a picture break really fast so we can move on to the next discussion. The next one is very interesting, I tell you. It's very interesting. So let's just do this really fast and move on to the next topic of discourse. Okay, so women are meant to shine. Beautiful. All right, so thank you so much also, Chesley Maddox, also in the US. Thank you so much for being a part of this panel discussion. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. That was a great one. Are we all learning something really great today? Are we learning something really great? So at this point, do you feel that on the scale of 1 to 10, women are inclusive creatively? Do we all feel? Let me have an answer. On the scale of 1 to 10, do we feel, how many percent do we think women are all inclusive in most of the creative sectors? How many percent? 5%. 5% you feel? Okay, okay. 5%. Any other person? Any other person? Okay. All right, so we'll move really fast to the next topic of discourse. And this one is investing in creativity. Investing in creativity. We'll move really fast, okay? So this panel is a strategic conversation on why investing in Africa's creative industry is essential for economic growth, cultural influence, and global competitiveness. This panel brings together leading voices from finance and industry to explore funding models, infrastructural needs, and opportunities shaping the continent's creative future. All right, so it's time for us to talk about money, okay? And I'm sure women, we all love money. Am I correct? Okay. Do the women love money? I'm not saying or say yes to this part of the discussion. Women, we no longer love money. We do, okay. All right, so this is investing in creativity, okay? This is investing in creativity. Um, our moderator is Andre Silva. I hope I got it right. Oh, beautiful lady. Thank you so much for coming. All right, so we just get your mic. Then put your hands together for her while she steps on the stage. So, she is a global events and creative strategy consultant. She's a global cultural strategist and creative producer, shaping the intersection of culture, entertainment, and technology across Africa and diaspora. Formerly with MBA Africa, BAL, and YouTube, she founded MOKA, M-O-K-A, and Open Call Africa. She now consults globally on cultural programming, creative industries, and audience engagement. Thank you so much for coming around. All right, so she'll be on the panel with us. All right, joining us again on the panel is Mabel Adite. Is she here? Okay, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so she's the Earth Brands and Marketing Communication Wema Bank. Mabel, she is a seasoned communications leader and Forbes Communication Council member with 16 years experience in strategic communication, brand management, PR, and sustainability. Accredited by CIPR, NIPR, and CIMK UK. She has led major corporate product and Christ initiative. She's currently heads brands and marketing communications at Wema Bank. Thank you so much for coming around, ma. You know, it's time for us to talk money, yeah? It's time for us, it's money talk, okay? So financing the creative industry. All right, so we also have Mr. Chijuke. Put your hands together for our while she steps forward, please. Thank you. We also have to join the panel Mr. Chijuke Nwaibute, Tax and Regulatory Service Leader, PwC Nigeria. Mr. Chijuke is a leading African tax strategist and regulatory authority. As PwC Nigeria's Tax and Regulatory Services Leader and an African oil and gas tax leader, he shapes fiscal policy, guides multinational energy investments, and drives regulatory transformation. His expertise influences national reforms and strengthens Africa's evolving energy and economic landscape. Please put your hands together for Mr. Chijuke. Is Mr. Chijuke here with us? Okay. All right, so he's going to be a part of the panel also. So we also have Mexley. Mr. Mexley, is he here? Is he? Okay, great, great. Okay, so we have Mr. Mexley. Mr. Wesley Nwago, Divisional Head Brand and Communications, Fidelity Bank. Mr. Mexley is a transformative brand strategist and communications leader, driving Fidelity Bank's reputation, visibility, and cultural relevance. As Divisional Head, Brand and Communications, he shapes high-performance storytelling, strategic engagement, and corporate influence. His leadership blends creativity, precision, and business intelligence, positioning Fidelity Bank as a forward-thinking force in African financial service. Put your hands together for Mr. Mexley. All right, so we're happy to have you on the panel. Thank you so much for being a part of the panel. All right, so we'd like to have Cynthia Walker on the panel as well. She's the GM in the Large Enterprises Directorate, Bank of Industry Limited. Uchi, is she here? Oh, great. Good to have you around, ma'am. All right, she's the General Manager, Large Enterprises Directorate at the Bank of Industry with over 3 decades in investment banking, risk management, and project finance. An alumna of UNIBEN and UNN, she is trained at Oxford, INSEAD, LBS, and Harvard, and champions innovative financing for Nigeria's creative industry. Thank you so much for being a part of this, ma'am. Okay. We'd also like to have Osobajo Oyinade, I think I got that right, sorry. Head Commercial Banking, Optimus Bank. Here, my apologies. Okay. All right, so we'd like to have you on the panel as well. So she's an expert in building and scaling high-performing marketing and commercial teams, having successfully led diverse cross-functional groups to execute impactful market entry and growth strategies across industries, including advertising, technology, FMCG, aviation, and financial services. She has over 17 years of international and regional experience and a proven track record across marketing businesses, business strategy, brand management, business development, communications planning, and product innovations. All right, so we have a great panel already. Please put your hands together for this beautiful panel. Okay, so this panel, like we said, the topic for discourse on this panel is investing in creativity. So please, I'd like us to listen and see why it's possible or why it is not possible, to invest in creativity, towards the female gender. Okay? So it's a very interesting discussion, and I'll try as much as possible to take questions really fast while this discussion goes on. Okay? All right.
As you can hear, I have a French accent, so I might mispronounce some of the names. That's why I don't have the Nigerian passport yet, so I do apologize in advance. So, before we get started, I would like to ask the panel, what does investing in creative means to you? Maybe let's start with you, Dr. Maxi.
You want to kick off with me? All right, awesome. Well, I'm very blessed because amongst women, the only man here, so don't worry, I'll be repping all the men very well. I'm delighted to be in today's panel session, and many thanks for having me. I will be speaking as a banker. That's the hat I'm wearing today, all right? And I'm hoping that I'm speaking to people who are bankable customers. So in banking, there is a difference between being banked and being bankable, all right? The day you open an account in any bank, you are banked. But especially if you want to be a borrowing customer, we have to get you to become bankable. And oftentimes I find a lot of people who come to banks, I see a lot of my colleagues in banks are here, and I'm looking forward to hearing what they'll say as well. So people tell us, oh, they come to banks to get money, they don't get money, why don't we get money? If you don't get money, it's because you're not yet bankable. We are in the business of giving out money. That's the only way we make money. So we want to give you money. We are delighted when you take money. So it breaks our hearts when you're unable to take money. And so what we do as a bank, especially for the creative sector, is to get the players in that sector to become bankable. And over the course of this panel discussion, I will share a little bit so that you can go out with nuggets on how to get yourself to become bankable. So if you fall within the bucket of anybody who has requested capital from the bank and you didn't get it, I can assure you, what I'll share with you today, the next time you go to a bank, you'll definitely get funded.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Over to you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And thanks, Black Arts, for inviting me here. I'm Uche Walker. I work for Bank of Industry. As a development finance institution, what we saw was the developmental impact in the creatives. So we started this journey since 2010, 16 years, still counting. We saw the huge impact and opportunities in terms of job creation, in terms of wealth creation, in terms of opportunity that comes from foreign exchange generation. We also saw that in the global space, our products were needed, be it music, film, fashion, art and crafts, and other aspects of the creative ecosystem. So we saw the impact drove us, and that has been the driving force to date. Thank you.
What about you?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I know some of my colleagues have mentioned something in the banking sector, but I will look at it I'll speak to it from two perspectives. One is when we talk about investing in the creative space, you have the individual, what it means to you as an individual, whatever sector, whatever industry you find yourself in, music, art and culture, fashion, and then also the partners that you intend to work with. From the partners that you intend to work with, you have people who are your customers, and then you have people who you need to help you succeed. But there is a lot of effort that needs to go into that from an individual perspective, meaning that you must ensure that you're bankable, the way he mentioned, because you look at the value that you have to offer in the market, the value you have to offer to your partners, the value you have to offer also to the customers, either your viewers, either your buyers, either your consumers. What value are you offering to them? When you look at that in terms of how profitable, how you want to invest your time, your energy, your resources, put all of that together, then you will be able to succeed.
Okay, thank you so much. Not to belabor what everyone has said, I think from my point of view, when it comes to investing in creativity, well, the good thing is I've seen the best of both worlds. I've spent some time working in advertising, at least I think 6 to 7 years before I segued into other sectors and finally the finance sector. And what we seek to do when you say you want to invest, whether it's in tech, whether it's in whichever, is to develop the sector by providing resources. Resources could include financing. And I think someone, alluded to it earlier on, that what we want to make sure we do is to help this sector to grow through structured financing. And for us to be able to do that, that means there has to be, I would say, some sort of collaboration between the two. A lot of times, even when we're coming on stage, the energy shifted a little from we're coming from creativity now to money. We see that a lot. The bankers understand us. Do we understand bankers? And hopefully, at the end of the day, today, we do hope that the CEOs or the finance directors or CFOs, they come to understand that we bankers actually want to support that sector as much as possible.
I think you all mentioned it. The foundation is really important when it comes to investing in creativity. So maybe let's start with this. I have a question for you, Mabel. From a policy and regulatory perspective, why should Africa prioritize investment in the creative industries right now?
Thanks for that question. If you look at the age, the time, the behavior, the environment that we're operating in right now, you understand that even as an individual, there is so much in you that you want to showcase, irrespective of the industry that you find yourself. You need to understand that people have moved from the, should I say, the tailored or the regular way of acquiring. People now do things because of their lifestyle, the fact that it resonates with them, and that's why you see that a lot of the things that we do in the creative space is growing. However, for you to be able to grow, there should be some policies that guide. And I'll speak from a finance perspective. That's the industry that I'm in. You want to be sure that what you're investing your fund is as profitable. There's some return on investment. Yes, as a let me call you the seller, as the person with the idea, as the person with the initiative, you feel and you understand that it is sellable. I mean, a lot of the times that sometimes when we review some of the things that comes, most times the originator of that idea, they're looking at it from their own perspective to say that I believe that this is my initiative, this is my idea, is sellable, forgetting that there are some policies in the organization that will determine if we are going to support or not. You need to ensure that you align with such policies. I'll give a typical example. So you come to me, you come to my organization and you ask for some investment in your space, your creative ideas. The first question would be that, what are you putting into it? Sometimes you see that, and to review, there are standard guidelines and policies in the bank that before you move into the next level or the next phase, you must tick all of those policies. But a lot of the times what we see is most of the creators don't take their time to put themselves in the shoes of these investors or these organizations that they want to write to, or that they are looking at to say that if I come to XYZ Bank, what does their policy say around financing women, for instance? Wema Bank is big on financing women. We're very, very, very big on financing women. So if you understand that Wema Bank is big in that, you would ensure that when you bring those things, you're clearly able to showcase how your initiative, how your ideas, how your vision helps to achieve the overall goal of the organization. So policy helps a lot. It also helps to be able to guide even the organization in how best we make our decisions. So because it will lead from one table to the other. So there is that standard policies that if you take your time to understand or even engage, I've seen a couple of times that people come in with their initiatives, they come in with their ideas, but they are boxed in what they want to do, and sometimes they're not even open to further engagement to ask, what does your policy say around women? What does your policy say around children? What does your policy say around going Africa? What does your policy say around culture? So it is very important that, because a lot of organizations, for my organization, it will be tough for us to delve into some areas if it truly doesn't understand it, doesn't align with those policies. So we need to do a bit of research in that, and then to be able to get those grants to support.
It's a business, and you need to lean in more to how that can help us support and build competitive advantage for both brands but also individual creators.
Yeah, for me, I would say that one important thing to take home is don't build in silos. And when I say silos, I don't mean within your sector. Look a bit further than that. The solutions, the impact, and the growth you may be searching for can be seen or replicated from elsewhere. So be a bit broad-minded, but keep building.
All right, so we could hop into questions. If anybody has any questions, the mic is over here on the right side of the room.
And I'm not talking about Nigerian breweries, you guys have the resources and all of that. But I'm talking about smaller brands who share the same objective, share the same value, and yet they want to do things on their own when they can collaborate and partner with each other to make the vision bigger and to scale even faster. So do you see a future where brands in different industries are collaborating to be able to achieve and move faster to solve some of the issues that we're raising today?
No, absolutely. So to open your world and experiment and better understand what is out there, culture is too big for a brand to own, right? So to really leverage on the full aspects of culture, that is where collaboration comes in. And in my company, in our company, we've had many such great examples. Lagos Fashion Week is an example. It's not our platform. We've been collaborating with the Akere League for 10 years. For the first time in the history of the platform, we're taking the platform outside of Lagos to Port Harcourt, and we have a beautiful program that's going to happen. We're taking Lagos Fashion Week to the city of Port Harcourt because, we think fashion doesn't only reside in Lagos, but actually fashion exists everywhere in this country, so we want to give the opportunity for everybody. But there are certain things that I do think brands need to own, because that way it helps you build differentiation. So the world that I see is hand in hand, right? You own stuff and you collaborate. That way you can really, as a brand builder, leverage on the full aspects of culture.
Any other questions? All right. Good. So yes, thank you guys so much. It was a great panel, and thank you guys for paying attention. I hope you guys enjoyed this bit.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Well done. Thank you. Please, we'll take pictures really quick. Please put your hands together for the wonderful panelists. Thank you so much. Okay, so we would like to also thank our sponsors, Nigerian Breweries. Also, we thank Sarah for being a great voice and also giving all the support necessary to make this event a success. We'd also like to recognize every single brand who's here today. for your support deeply in growing this great organization. Okay, so through our lenses, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as they step on the stage. Okay, through our lenses. All right, so can we see all the women out here shining as bright as a diamond? So it's good to go back into some of these discussions, just in case you're just coming in. That's why we're doing this, so we can know exactly where we're heading to just after the lunch break. Then the third panel of discussion was a strategic conversation on why investing in Africa's creative industries is essential for economic growth, cultural influence, and global competitiveness. This panel brought together leading voices from finance and industry to explore funding models, infrastructural needs, and opportunities shaping the continent's creative future. And opportunities was not just being directed to only the male folks. Opportunity was generalized. If you're a lady, you also have equal opportunity as a man does. So you can go also and have access to funds. You could pitch, your creative art. You could go as far, even much further than any man has actually gone. Okay, so we are definitely building great women. Of course, I mean, it's no wonder we call it Mother Nature, or Mother Earth rather, okay? Because it's practically hard to have a full functional parastatal without the ideas of a woman. And some of the discussions were the way women actually, see things. I feel like the women see things much deeper than the men do. Very well. I mean, I quite agree that the women pay more attention than we do. And that's not something that we want to miss in this generation, okay? That's not something we want to miss in this generation. So we're giving more opportunities to women as well to have a say in every single industry, especially in creativity, just as this event has been captioned through our lenses. And we're celebrating the female gender and gender equality in creative space. One of the very most interesting discussion I'd really like to say a lot about was the aspect of financing. We had representatives from Bank of Industry, we had representatives from Wema Bank, we had representatives from Fidelity Bank, and it was really, broken down on what it takes to access funds. And so far, everybody, all the banks, they're waiting for the ladies to step forward and take the opportunities that are on the table. Yeah, that's the truth. It's beautiful, They're waiting for the ladies to also be, the forefront of most of the creative industries. Not just fashion, okay? Not just fashion, okay? But, of course, the panel made it easy for funds to be accessed. And a lot of criteria that needs to be considered before the funds have been accessed was properly discussed. And I'm sure we learned a whole lot from all of that, okay? So while we're trying to settle in and get into the next panel of discussion, we're going to have a few minutes of entertainment. In 5 minutes, we have the head keepers. As soon as they come in, as soon as we're ready, we'll have a great acoustic performance from the head keepers, and then we'll move on to the next panel of discussion. I'd like to say a big thank you to every panelist, to the moderators. You guys have done an amazing job, especially in the aspect of keeping to time. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. We're very happy that that conscious effort was being put in place to make sure that time is properly being followed. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like us to have some great music right now, and when we get back, we'll move into the next phase of this beautiful event. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. The people who are clapping over there, what's your problem? Okay, that's it. That's more like it. That's more like it. I wish we could go into some other discussions, right? I mean, especially this point, just look at what the ladies would really love. I mean, this is off the box. Just tell us what exactly do you think would make life much easier for your creative field. Hey, sorry. All right, so you just tell us what exactly you feel might make. There's a second microphone, okay? Let's just have that going on. What would you like? It's just off the box, just anything. I know we've not had all the times to take all the questions, but yeah, we can have the interactive session. So maybe let's just have one of the microphones. You just tell us what exactly do you think would make life really easy for your creative field right now. And so far, if you'd like to tell us exactly what you've learned so far, or what knowledge or what idea you've accumulated so far. We'll be glad to listen to that. So let's just take that really quick while we wait for others to join us. Okay, we have 2 microphones ready. Anybody? Yes, please. Okay. So let's just keep it going. All right, okay.
All right, thank you very much, and good afternoon again. Well, two things that made me really wait to the end is two things. I thank you for, my name is Bumi Oking. I had the opportunity to be on the panel earlier. But what I found very interesting was, I don't know how many of us, when we came in, we heard the baby cry at the background. Now that is the reality of women in business. At some point, the young ones will always have to look after the young ones, and then maybe their care issues become an issue. Now, why I keep on saying that, I don't agree that gender is balanced, because a man will not carry his baby to the office. A woman will carry her baby to the office. So you have to sometimes deal with the realities of the fact that, how do you help women with healthcare, childcare, and what have you? And that is where, and some clients will not allow you to take them to the office. Because if you have clients that say, oh, under 18 is not allowed, you cannot take a child to a tobacco or maybe alcohol beverage company. It's just, the policy is not going to work. So you just have to have a creche or something, and that's why some people actually have creches when they have this type of conferences. Maybe that's another reason why you find women also rushing out more than the men, because you find that to return, they may be going to pick up the baby from someone that was just helping them for 1 or 2 hours. So I think one of the reality is women have to manage differently. And I would just like to share a quick example. When I was a young mother, I mean, I'm not an old mother now, but when I was a younger mother, let me put it to that perspective. I remember when my children were just like 3 or 4, I needed to go out of the country for a conference. I wanted to have a holiday. I needed to take my children with me, and there were a set of twins. And I had to really look at, how do I manage all this and still go for my attachment? Because, like you said, send yourself on training. So I sent myself partially through my agencies to Guinness and Fanta training abroad. But you know what I had to do? Fortunately, I had a sister in the UK who knew a bit of the system. I had to actually hire a childminder for a bit of the day to help me look after the children while I quickly went to my own function, come back. You see, my point is, if you couldn't even afford it, how do you do that? It's not that you don't want to do that, but your priorities are difficult. So there are real issues to deal with, women issues, if you want to go up the career level. And I just wanted to share that so that other women will realize that when you see people looking all well powdered and crossed legs today, it doesn't mean they didn't go through their own share of having to manage this baby and family issue. And I thank God, as we have, I still have a balanced view of life. I still have a home running. I have my children. I have now adult men. But my point is, and I was able to get to the top of my career and we're still moving. But I'm just saying, unless we want to deceive ourselves. Now you can imagine the women that haven't even had the time to date because they are too busy working.
Yeah.
I rest my case.
Okay. Well, please put your hands together for one of our very beautiful panelists. Thank you so much, ma'am, for putting such amount. Okay, so in essence, childbirth shouldn't be a barrier or shouldn't be a reason for exclusivity, right? Childbirth shouldn't be a reason for exclusivity, but it has to be seen as a part of life as well, and provisions has to be made. And if you look at it carefully also, there's a whole lot of risks these days if you're leaving your kids with nannies or taking them to the crèche. I know sometimes the mothers, their mind is never settled. Okay, so please, thank you so much. Let's hear you. Then when we get back, we'll jump into the next path of discussion. Okay, please, a round of applause for Mr. John Betel Ezugo as he steps forward for his presentation. Okay. All right, so we try to do that. Okay, so a little bit about the Earth Keepers, right? So this wonderful community believe that it is their responsibility to protect the earth, not just planting of trees, but also preservation, animal preservation, and a whole lot of that. Because if we look at it carefully today, we cannot have a conversation in Lagos without first of all looking at deforestation and a lot of climate change issues that have actually resulted as a form of industrialization so far. So these guys believe that planting trees is a great way of preserving the earth. There are also a bunch of people, lots of creatives, with the Earth Keepers, and we're very honored to have the Earth Keepers here. In a few minutes, Mr. Ezugo will be here to give a great performance. Okay. I like that soprano. Let's go. We are. Tenor, what's going on? We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. It's true, we make a brighter day. It's true and me. Learning to love yourself is the what? Is the greatest love of all. Okay, I'm glad we know that, okay? Learning to love yourself is the... Okay, wait, I still have some of my choir members here. Please put your hands together for yourselves. Even those of you that have not been coming for rehearsals, clap for yourselves also. It's all good. Alright, so Mr. Ezugo, are we ready? Alright, so please, I'd like to officially welcome Mr. Ezugo John Bethel. He is the founder of Earth Keepers, an organization that is deeply into creative climate action. Thank you so much. It's good to have you around.
Thank you so much. You already did the introduction. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I'm happy to be here to share a piece of my creativity with a very wonderful creative audience. We're all about creative climate action, and we don't just talk, but we take action, and we're also fusing our creativity. I, for one, I use my music. I've always used my music as a tool for change, from childhood, from National Children's Parliament, and now as an Earth Keeper, the leader of Earth Keepers. So I'm going to share a piece of my advocacy with you.
Church, everywhere, mosque, everywhere. Holy, carry on for money, carry on for church, everywhere, mosque, everywhere. Holy, carry on for money, carry on for it. But now it's bypass. Now it's bypass. March out for leg, finding trouble. collect money, killing brother. Call house. We can do anything for the dollars. All now. Was a slave to Igbo. Now a slave of his mind. Too hot to stay in the light. Cause he's too used to the dawn. I said, now who got some? You sabi who got some? I like it, man. Go back to back. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Izugo John Bethel. Thank you. This brother has been so deeply into humanity. He's done great stuff, planting lots of trees with his community around Lagos State, Nigeria. At the moment, he's looking out to 5,000 trees in Lagos. And I think so far it's on a whole lot, you know. Thank you so much, Mr. Izugo, for that wonderful and very touching performance. Okay, are we excited right now? Are we excited? Okay, so I'd like to call on the manager, Nigerian Breweries PLC. Okay. Amstel Malt, yeah, okay. All right, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Where's the second microphone now? Okay, so we'll get the microphone. Please keep clapping while she comes. Please, can I help you? Right, thank you, welcome. Thank you. Okay, so your microphone. All right, so a little bit about Elo. She is the manager for non-alcoholic drink at NB, at Nigerian Breweries PLC, with over 14 years of experience in FMCG sector. She is a growth-focused marketing leader at the Heineken Company, where she oversees the strategy and execution of diverse portfolios of non-alcoholic brands. She said I should leave you there. I'll tell the world who you are. She's driven by a passion for developing innovative insight-led campaigns that connect meaningfully with consumers and deliver strong business outcomes. Okay, put your hands together one more time for Elo.
Good afternoon, and thank you very, very much for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's good to be here. I think this is a really, really good platform, and I was just sitting down there with my colleagues and imagining, you know, all the students, upcoming students out of school that would have had a great time learning from this platform, and you know, so many other creatives that are just starting out their career. So, but for everyone that is here, I think it's a privilege to be here, and my job here is really simple. I want to introduce you to a campaign that we recently launched on Amstel Malta. So Amstel Malta believes in the mantra of being your best in everything that you do. And in everything that the brand does, we try to bring that across and try to connect to consumers at the heart of that campaign. And so, a bit about, you know, what Amstel Malta has been known for in the past. I don't know if anybody here remembers platforms like Ambo or, okay, maybe more familiar will be AMVCA or something like that, you understand? So Amstel Malta has been one of the brands because in Nigerian breweries, we manage a portfolio of brands, but what we try to do is let every brand have its own personality and its own way of connecting with consumers. Because at the end of the day, while consumers consume brands, they connect to the message that each brand brings to them and how they can relate to that brand. And for the brand Amstel Malta, when we talk about being your best, we actually try a lot to link it to the creative space. And Ambo was a platform that Amstel Malta used to run many years ago. And it was a platform where we gave creatives the opportunity to develop themselves in film, in photography, in editing, in production, you understand? And it was actually one of the first few reality shows there, way before Big Brother. I don't know if anybody remembers them. They actually used to come to the house, they would live together, they would get coaching, and then they go on to make a feature film. And people like Osi Okojaye, if you guys can remember, Evie, and very recently, Daniel Etim was telling his story about how Amstel Motor box office actually transformed his life when he was rusticated from university, and he got an opportunity to be part of AMBO, and that gave him the platform to pivot into acting. And today, I think he's one of the most celebrated Nigerian actors that we have currently. So that is what the Amstel brand has stood for over time, and that is something that has remained consistent, because every one of us, you understand, we are always on a journey to building ourselves, to perfecting ourselves. Nobody ever has a straight path to getting to their destination. There's always a journey, and in the process of that journey, this brand wants you to be your best, wants you to embrace every opportunity, to learn, to fail, to discover, to rediscover, you understand? And even consumers now, you understand, particularly in the creative space, are also in that journey. You understand? There are many people in their small corner, wherever they are in Nigeria right now, sitting back and creating content on their phone, creating something, painting, you understand? Whatever it is, making an outfit. I saw a beautiful lady now with an adire skirt and ashoke trimmings. Everybody in their little corner, they didn't start overnight. They started with, let me just try. And every time they tried and they failed, you understand, they had either someone or something or somewhere to run to get inspiration. And that's what this brand, as far back as when we launched AMBO, and even till today, is trying to do and continues to try to do to support consumers in their journey. And so, what does, and that leads us back to, like, to the truth, the human truth of the fact that everybody wants something. You understand? You want to achieve something, but you first of all face that fear, that doubt in you that, can I actually do it? You understand? Can I actually, even coming up on this stage, in fact, when we're having a discussion earlier, I was like, but you know, you get up every day and you know, you get inspired and you come out and do what you need to do. But for you to do that, you have to really, really want to grow. You have to be consistent in your drive to grow. You understand? So both today, in every phase of your life, in every phase of your career, that consistency, that drive, that dream to achieve what you want to do, and that was a big inspiration and insight behind the campaign we just launched, which is tagged Be Your Best. And this Be Your Best, we thought and asked ourselves, who would be a great personality to actually represent, you understand, this story with us. And we looked around and we said, yes, there is one woman, if you know very well, who has over the years built her career in a male-dominated field. You understand? When people think of football in Nigeria, you understand, you first of all think of the Super Eagles and the big guys. But there's this woman who we all know, Azizat Oshoala, who has consistently and deliberately been showing up, showing out. She's captained the Super Falcons team. I don't know, maybe since they started going for AFCON. You understand? And she has led them to win 10 AFCON championships. This campaign was supposed to launch on the back of the AFCON that was to start in March. Even though it was postponed, we said, no, we're still going to go ahead and launch our campaign. We're not going to let CAF or anybody dictate what we want to do, because we felt that the message, even though it was centered around a football player, is stronger than just this football player. Because it's about showing up, it's about being resistant, it's about not just dreaming, but waking up every day and saying, I'm going to work towards whatever it is I want to achieve. And Azizat Oshoala represents this mantra of Be Your Best that Amstel stands for. She has, and when we had a session with her, we had a live session, and she spoke about how, even as little as when she was it 7, 8, 9, her parents would chase her inside the house. Stop playing ball. Ball is for guys. Go and read your books. And when they chase her, once she does it, she will run back outside and go and be playing, you understand, football, because her heart was so much in what she wanted to do with herself. She already saw herself on the big stages. And today, she's the most decorated African female footballer in the world. Yes, we love her. She's the first ever African female footballer to be nominated for the Ballon d'Or. I mean, that's like the height of football, in whichever way you want to examine it. She's the first African footballer that has won the UEFA Champions League for female in the Barcelona team. So that is how much her resilience and drive, despite being a Muslim, you know, she's always supposed to cover up, she's always supposed to, despite being a female. And we said, yes, this is the person that represents and embodies what being your best is for us, at least at this time, and can really, really bring, you know, that spirit, that drive, you know, into this campaign. And so I will just allow us to watch, you know, the ad. And we tried not to, we made this a very simple, everyday story. You understand? When you watch it, we'll talk about, you know, a few things, high points there. Whatever is inside of you, at every moment in time, you have the opportunity to show it. Show it and show it fully. Be your best in that moment, whenever you are given the opportunity, whenever you have a chance. And for you to be able to be your best in every moment, you have to already be working on it in the background. You understand? That's really, really what we are trying to learn. And I like the point on excellence. Women can do it equally as much or even better when given the chance, and being prepared all the time. So in a nutshell, we will just take a little clips of what Azizat said about what success actually means to her.
So you know how people who like success things that everybody can see, medals, trophies. So beyond all of that, what's success for you personally?
Success for me is like achieving my dream, you know, growing up, what I love to do. Am I actually doing it? Am I actually living? Because there's a difference between living and living. You know, there's living for the sake of living, and there's living your dream as well. I'm living my dream, so this is success to me already. Like every day I wake up, I say alhamdulillah. There are days where you have like bad days at work or life in general, family, friends, you know, things happen, but then it's just like I can confidently and comfortably say I am successful because I've achieved my dream. You know, growing up, the things I want to do. I still have a lot that I really want to do, don't get me wrong, but right now, I think God has been faithful to me.
Yeah. So living her dream is what she's doing now, and that is what she defines as success. Things she dreamt of when she was that little child, running out on the field, playing ball, being chased back inside, being flogged, being punished, whatever, was that at the end of the day, she wants to be one of the most decorated female footballers of the year, at least in Africa, and she has really, really achieved it. Today, Azizat Oshoala, beyond being as successful as she is studying sports management, right? I think she mentioned that on the call. So even despite that, she still, like she said, she still has a lot of things she wants to achieve. She's still working towards it, because we all know that football has a retirement age. I mean, by like maybe 35 or so, you need to also move on to something. So she's already preparing now for the next phase of her life. So that's, in a nutshell, is what this campaign is about, and what our message as Amstel Malta brand is to every woman here and everybody present here, because it's not only to the women, actually, it's to everybody, that being your best is not about waiting for that grand moment. It's about in every little moment that you have, preparing towards whenever that opportunity comes, you show up and you be your best. It's a journey, and so you have to start from wherever you are. You don't need one grand thing to be able to be your best. Just determine in your heart that whatever I'm going to do, wherever I'm going to find myself, I'm going to make sure I'm going to be my best at it and put in the work, put in the effort, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. Thank you very much. That's the little message I wanted to share with you.
Thank you so much. So she's the portfolio manager. Okay. All right, so she's the portfolio manager, non-alcoholic drinks, Nigerian Breweries PLC. Thank you so much. It's beautiful to see such diversity, okay? Such diversity, especially in the aspect or in the areas of sport. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving quickly into the next panel discussion. And this one has been, it's been on my mind, okay? So this one is captioned gaming. So this one is captioned Tech and Gaming, Redefining the Future. Just a short while. All right, okay. So this one is Tech and Gaming, Redefining the Future of Digital Play. And the panel summary, an all-women conversation, on how African creators are transforming tech and gaming, driving innovation, shaping cultures, expanding opportunity, and redefining the future of digital play through leadership, storytelling, and emerging technologies. Our moderator, Esosa Osagdibe. Please put your hands together for Esosa. Okay, thank you so much, Esosa. Thank you so much also for your patience. Please put your hands together for her. She's going to get marked and then she'll come on stage. So, Esosa is a high-performing business leader recognized for driving strategic growth, operational excellence, and organizational transformation. An overachiever with a track record of delivering results across complex environments, she blends analytical rigor with visionary leadership. Her career reflects consistent impact, cross-functional mastery, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. Thank you so much. Put your hands together for the moderator on this very, very sensitive and yet a very intelligent topic. Tech and gaming, redefining the future of digital play. All right, so let's look at our panelists. Doweba Diwani, Ed Project, GIZ, DTC, Nigeria. Doweba is the head of project at GIZ Digital Transformation Center, DTC, Nigeria, where she leads efforts to accelerate inclusive, sustainable digital growth. With over 2 decades of experience, she empowers Nigerian innovations ecosystem by bridging policy, startups, and MSMEs to drive lasting economic and social impact. Please put your hands together for her. All right. Okay, so you see we're having really great women come on this platform. It's going to be a very interesting discussion. We have Sade Dada, Head of Public Policy, Anglophone West Africa, Meta. Please put your hands together also for Sade. All right. Sade Dada. Okay, so Sade Dada, she is the Head of Public Policy for Anglophone West African Meta, where she leads strategic engagement on digital transformation and internet governance. A US licensed attorney with a Juris Doctorate, she leverages her deep expertise in ICT law and connectivity to shape policies that foster inclusive innovation and sustainable economic growth across Africa. Also joining us on the panel is Fisayo Alayede. Okay. All right. Let's put your hands together for these beautiful ladies, please. Okay, she is the Executive Secretary and the CEO of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Fisayo is the Executive Secretary and CEO of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, where she drives job creation and MSME growth across Lagos. With over 16 years in global banking, including roles at HSBC and ROBS, she leverages her expertise in development, finance, and strategy to foster sustainable economic empowerment. Okay, so these are very great ladies. I mean, when I look at the portfolios of these wonderful ladies, you can see consistency And like what was being discussed much earlier, you would see that women are very, very consistent at what they do. Very consistent. Very consistent in what they do. All right, so. Okay, so we have Shadia Dada. She's going to be here to join the panel. Thank you so much for coming around. So she's the head of public policy Anglophone West Africa, META. Shadia Dada, she is the head of public policy for Anglophone West Africa at META, where she leads strategic engagements and digital transformation and internet governance. A US licensed attorney with a Juris Doctorate, she leverages her deep expertise in ICT law and connectivity to shape policies that foster inclusive innovation and sustainable economic growth across Africa. Put your hands together for Shadia Dada. Thank you. All right, so I'll hand over to Esosa, who's the moderator of this wonderful event at this point in time. But please, I think we might need to readjust. That'll be fine. So let's have Esosa in the middle, and then Esosa, you can sit this way. Yeah, great. Okay, so that's fine. Please put your hands together for the wonderful panel. Standing right behind me. Okay. So I'd like you to please put out.
I hope this doesn't shout too much. I want to thank everyone for coming out today. In the midst of the epileptic power failure, the amazing panelists that have been here, and thought-provoking sessions that we've had today. It's been an eye-opener in terms of where we need to go, in terms of fostering growth for women in the creative space. And that's part of the idea in creating initiatives that sustain growth within the creative space for women. And that's what we're championing. Right now, if you scan the QR code, you're going to see blackhat.org and what we're pushing forward, where we're trying to create a white paper. The idea behind this conversation for today has been how we take this into a policy-based initiative, and not just for Nigeria, but across the globe, in partnership with the UN Women, and in partnership with the UN in entirety for the creative space. And in as much as we are allies of the UN Women's initiative called the Stereotype Alliance as a global partner, and one of the only black-owned firms to be a global partner of this initiative, in partnerships with others like Cannes Lion and a few other brands. But the main aim for us is, how do we create change? Not just for us in Nigeria alone, but take it to a global perspective. And that's why this start today has been very, very immense, because it has given us deep insight of where we need to go when we head out to Johannesburg in 2 weeks, and when we head out to Sao Paulo in Brazil in about a month from now, and to London in 8 weeks, and to Cannes Lion in about 3 months, and finally to the UN General Assembly, where we share our findings. That's why we have the QR code, where we actually collect that data to find out the main issues and create a communique that can actually create change and pass it on to countries that can actually implement such structures within the creative economy. Apart from this that I do, I also work with the Nigerian Ministry of Arts and Culture on the futures of creativity. And part of what we're trying to do in creating change for the creative space in Nigeria is to find out what are the possibilities and how do we do this. And the first point is hearing from people like you, this amazing panels, people in tech, people in advertising, people in brand marketing. And that's very, very, very vital. Creators. And the main issue we want to be able to take from this as we start this, we just don't want to have conversations, but we want to create policies, and we want these policies to be evident. I want to be able to walk into this room next year or so and say, yes, Nigeria has a chief creative officer in an advertising agency. Nigeria has more women-led agencies within the AAAN. There are more DMOs and head of marketings, like CEOs who are women-led, because what we've seen across the globe, when women lead, things actually change. So thank you very much, but I don't want this to be a conversation. I want this to actually create change, and that change will start, and we will push it from a global perspective with the UN. But we also need your help as we work to make this change. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Katharina Link. I'm the CEO of Pulse Africa, and I'm here at Through Her Lens. I'm very grateful for Black At to organize this really good event today with some amazing speakers. And I was happy and glad to be part of one of the panels as a moderator. And it was on culture and the architecture of culture, and how especially women are such an important contributing part of that system and of building culture, actually. And I think it was a great event. It's, I think, a lot of interesting perspectives. I like that both women and men are joining the conversation, because I think the event is also about commitment and then obviously action after the event. I think we've heard that there's an abundance of talent and creativity, especially also when it comes to women in the creative sector. I think the question is, are the systems proper enough to also have women leveraging those opportunities?